Welcome to Alcohol and Anime Night, the show that gets you drunker, the show that gets you fatter, and the show that makes you a bad mother... Welcome back, everyone. My name's Scott, and tonight we are going to review a oldie but goodie, a suggestion from a friend of the show, Afro Samurai. Thank you very much, Z, for suggesting this one. I've been wanting to go over this one for a while, so it's an excellent choice. If you have a chance, check out all of Z's stuff below. I'll put it in the comments. He's a great guy. Always a longtime friend, and again, friend of the show, so we're happy to do it. So let's talk a little bit about Afro Samurai. Afro Samurai is a show that started, it aired in 2007, and it is a short 5-episode series, which is great for someone that maybe is not sure about it, or they're just looking for something. They don't want to get into a long, like 157 episodes or something like that, and not really be able to catch up. You can watch this probably in a couple of days, maybe even one if you're really diligent about it. So came out a few years ago. After that, there's been a video game, there's been manga, there has also been a movie since that time. We are not going to talk about any of those things in particular. We're going to focus on the 5 episodes that were in the original 2007 series. Now, our creator in this case is Takashi Okazaki, who is best known for his work in Summer Wars. He did a lot of work with the animation there. He also worked on the super shitty Batman Ninja, which we are going to review here shortly. This one jumped in front of Batman Ninja, so weirdly enough, they are linked, but we'll get to that one at some point. Spoiler alert, it's a piece of shit. Anyway, now, this show is not a piece of shit. It's pretty good, and I have some critiques, but it's a pretty good show overall. Again, what you might know it best for, some people actually know it from the work that RZA did with the music, which he does through all 5 episodes. In fact, he even makes a cameo in the movie. I said I wasn't going to talk about the movie, but he does make a cameo in the movie. Lucy Liu is also in the movie, so is Mark Hamill. But again, we're not talking about the movie, and I just talked about it 3 times. Anyway, before I get on to the show proper, as you might guess, it's a kind of a sword fighting show, so nothing surprising there. What is surprising is the voice acting cast. Now, very often, in fact, most times, whenever there is a series that's created, especially a Japanese series, we get kind of the whoever can do it type voice acting. And it's getting better now, but it used to be terrible. It used to be they had like 9 voice actors they would use for basically any anime that came out from manga or whoever these other companies were, and they just recycled the same voice actors over and over again. And it got to be really annoying because every single character sounded exactly the same. It just got... And frankly, there's a reason why the Japanese voice actors end up being better, that most people prefer the subtitled version, is that they really audition and make sure they got the right person rather than just who happens to be in the building that day. And again, no disrespect to American voice actors. They work very hard. It's a hard job. But when there's only a few dozen people that are qualified to do it, you're going to get some recycled voices. Again, it's getting better now, and it's not so much the case. Now, this show is excellent in the fact that they really pick some great people as the voice actors. Namely, Samuel L. Jackson, who probably most people are going to know best from Pulp Fiction and Star Wars, of course. Then also is Phil LaMarr, who I knew best from Mad TV. By the way, Samuel L. Jackson and Phil LaMarr were also in Pulp Fiction together, which we'll get back to a little bit later. John DiMaggio, who everybody's going to know from Futurama. He's been in also like a million other things. He's just... his IMDb is probably one of the longest I've seen in so long. He's in everything. So that's really cool to get somebody of that quality straight away on the American voice acting cast. But it doesn't stop there. Ron Perlman, who most people would know from Hellboy. He was in Alien Resurrection. He is also going to be the voice of Optimus Primal in the upcoming Rise of the Beast Transformers movie. So I am psyched about that. I'm a huge Transformers nerd, and especially a Beast Wars nerd, so I'm really excited about that. And, of course, the great Tara Strong is voicing a few characters, actually just one character, I'm sorry, in this, but everyone would know Tara Strong from her work as Harley Quinn in pretty much everything in the modern media, and of course her work with My Little Pony, she's very funny on that, and of course she's hilarious as Raven, and so it's great to see her in this as well. Weirdly enough, she's also in that Batman Ninja show, and she's probably the best thing about it. Wow, this has a lot of tie-ins to that Batman Ninja show. Crap, I might have to do that one next now. All right, it's a piece of shit, but I'm gonna have to do it now that I've talked about it twice. So again, where's this show come from? So it takes place in kind of an alternate reality, kind of an alternate future, maybe modern times, I guess. What's interesting, though, is it's almost as if you've taken a whole bunch of cultures and kind of just melded them together. So you've got samurai, you've got gunslingers, you've got cyborgs, you've got people on cell phones, but yet people seem to be living in almost a feudal type world. So it all kind of mixes together to make a pretty interesting setting, which I will be honest is kind of the catalyst for having the Afro Samurai, which everybody would know. There would probably have been no Afro Samurai in the actual feudal Japan. There simply were no black people in Japan. That's just a fact. There was just nobody there. So it makes it very interesting to now see this character here portrayed very accurately as a samurai, and it's a very cool feel to the whole thing. The music really helps, and the writing is pretty good. Now, is it something that's completely groundbreaking? Not really. If it's pretty. I don't want to say it's got a lot of the same tropes. I mean, it's a revenge story. The protagonist, his name is Afro. He essentially is trying to work his way through several bosses to get to the boss that has the number 1 headband. He has the number 2 headband, and thus the only person who can actually challenge the number 1 person to be number 1 is the person who holds the number 2 headband, and that's him. But no spoilers, that's all pretty much in the first episode. But it's pretty interesting. You've seen this kind of plot device before, where it's working through the different. I mean, it's essentially the plot to every video game ever, too. And so that particularly isn't that that new and groundbreaking, but it is fun. And of course, there's a whole generation. I always say there's a whole generation of people who did not grow up with all of these tropes, who might be seeing them for the first time. Thus, this becomes completely interesting and new to them. So that is pretty cool. The animation style is fun. It's definitely an older feel of animation. It's not older, obviously, but the feel of it is older. If you watched Ninja Scroll, which we did a review of, there's a lot of scenes wherein the characters take on an almost elongated look. There's perspective shots where you might be looking down the barrel of a gun or down the sword, and so it's kind of, they're using those perspective artwork, which really, that elongated feel can sometimes give the illusion of speed. If somebody's swinging their arm, it can almost look like their arm is bending and under like just the sheer force because it's moving so fast. So you'll see a lot of those. I used to call it kind of Gumby animation, and that works well here to portray how much speed, because a lot of the people in this are very, very fast, and it's portraying that speed. It's always very, very windy in the world of Afro Samurai. People's headbands are always like blowing around wildly, even when there's no wind. So that's always kind of funny. Samuel L. Jackson's character is interesting. Pay very close attention to that at the very first episode. There's a great little reveal, and I'm not going to give it away, but there's a great reveal, and if you catch it at the beginning, it makes it more fun throughout the whole thing. What else is very fun about this? Well, it's interesting because you're again seeing people that are using all sorts of technological weapons, not just swords. You see guns and explosives and all sorts of different things. So it makes it interesting seeing those battles. It's not just a whole bunch of sword fights. And You'll also notice in the animation style, there's a lot of almost sepia tone, maybe too much, but it does allow them to switch between a like flashback mode and the actual mode, and that sepia tone kind of helps you know that you're in the actual, the modern and not going back. I will be honest, it could have benefited from some more vibrant colors, but the vibrant colors you see are mostly the arterial spray of blood, which I will say, this, if you like Quentin Tarantino and you like kind of like the 1970s style films that he oftentimes borrows from, you'll really like this, because it's got a lot of that 1970s movie feel plus anime, plus the exploitation kind of feel to it. So I think you're really going to like it. Now, I do have some critiques on it. Number one, it did not need, even though it's a short series of 5 episodes, it didn't even need to be that. Frankly, this format probably would have been better as a 90, maybe 90 minute to 2 hour movie. I really think that would have been better in the case of what they're going for, and perhaps, and I have not yet seen the movie, which is called Afro Samurai Resurrection, which we're not going to talk about, but and again, now we're on number 4 talking about it. Perhaps that format fits better, and I will eventually see that to see if we'll come back and talk about it. But I do believe this would have just worked better in a little shorter format. Could have cut some things out and really kind of gotten to the meat and potatoes, and this one it just didn't need to be drug out. Namely because the main character hardly ever talks. He's all but silent, and there's some things that you kind of almost don't need to see in the backstory because you can just assume them. And writers can trust the audience a little bit to either make some assumptions or to use their imagination a little bit. We don't necessarily need to see them as a child, and I will be honest, that's one of the things that ruined Star Wars for me, is I didn't really need to see Darth Vader as a baby. I didn't need to see him as a little kid. I just wanted to see him as Darth Vader and hear the stories, and then I could kind of imagine what that would have been like, but I didn't really need to see it. And in some ways, it kind of spoils it a little bit. But that's my gripe, and that's my very controversial Star Wars view. What is really working well for this show is, again, the combination of the visuals and the music. I think you're going to like it, and if you don't, it's a really small investment. Now, again, there was some video game that happened afterwards. I think that's worth checking out. I have not checked that one out. I don't think it's available for any of the systems I have at the moment, and because it was back in 2009, I'm not sure that I have anything at this point that can play it, so we'll see. Maybe it's something out there on Steam or something. But anyway, it is Alcohol and Anime Night, so we can't end the show without a little drink. I have this Crown Royal in the cupboard, and I haven't had some in quite a long time. So we're going to put it in this super cool skull shot glass and have a sip of that. Crown Royal was probably one of the first whiskeys I had as a young man. I always loved that it came in like a really fancy. I'm a sucker for like a good package, and that was always like that was the selling point to let's say 21-year-old Scott, is that, oh wow, it comes in this like purple like regal packaging. It must be for kings, and thus many years of having Crown Royal sacks around my house. So come by. Just like college, still good. They make this in several flavors now, by the way, including, I believe, a vanilla, which sounds delightful, and we'll have to get on the show for sure. I had a really fun time doing this one, and I'd really like you guys to comment below, like, subscribe, but what I want you to comment on is I want you to comment on what you'd like to see me do next. There's a lot of cool things coming your way. I do have that review of the super terrible Batman Ninja movie coming out. It's bad enough that I'm gonna combine it with something else to make it interesting. I did the Coronation Starscream unboxing a little bit ago, just before this. So let me know what you thought about that. In fact, Got him here. Yeah, man, that's cool. And the F-15, I love this thing. I'm so excited. I'm so glad I got it. But we're going to have some more stuff like that coming up. And you're also going to see, hopefully, some more things where we go out on site and do things, do some more interviews as well. You guys really seem to like the interviews, so I'll try and do more of those as well. I love doing them, frankly, and I miss doing them from my old line of work. So it's been a pleasure talking anime with you guys. Kanpai.